The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning this morning, and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Thursday, the 24th of July, 2025, and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. I got guests in studio today. We're talking about like a whole bunch of things wrapped up into one big storm, pun intended.
I was just about to say that.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there in a second, but I have a number of talented people in studio with me. Before we get there, of course, we have a little housekeeping to do. We've got a little housekeeping to do. We're going to start with a reminder of the Loyalist Charles Farquharson Will Competition, open to junior and high school students throughout the archipelago. 4 winners will be selected, one from New Providence, one from Grand Bahama, one from San Salvador, and then one from the pool of the rest of the family of islands. To win this competition, you need to provide 2 pieces of information. The government recording record for Loyalist Charles Farquharson's will. The government recording record for Farquharson's will and the recorded date of the Loyalist Charles Farquharson's death. That's it. 2 pieces of information. To play the game, you call the show. Let us know you want to play the game. We'll transfer you to the producer. You give the producer your information, and we shall contact you to let you know if you've won or you have another chance to win the prize. The prize right now is up to, I think, cash exceeding $450 to be split between the winners. Also, we have a number of gifts and surprises from local donors, and in that, we look forward to a winner. It's a great time for the competition. It's summertime. Young people, put some money in your pocket, pick up a new skill. Delve into archiving and researching. Learn a little bit about your local history, especially if you're from the Family Islands, especially if you're from San Salvador. And when we get into this conversation, you get a sense of why competitions like this are so important. Second notice, and possibly the most important notice, producer. You know that thing you sent me a couple days ago? You have a clip with that boy? with the rally cry? You don't have that clip? Anyway, my guy Sarge, J. Sergeant Sarge from the Roots, right?
Yeah, War Daddy.
War Daddy saying we need 100 million billion people to come show up and support War Daddy. He's having some medical issues. He needs our support. See, now this is where the location that Junkanoo has in our lives, the space that it occupies. Let me tell you something, the students in Prince Edward Island, where our Bahamian ambassador Ashley is from Grand Bahama, Bahamian citizenship test, all of them cheering for War Daddy right now. They know War Daddy, right? And so they had a fundraising event last night to raise funds for hospital bills and life-saving care. But you still have plenty more time to donate to the cause. Here's how you could do it. By sending the cash, the donation, directly to his bank account. Look here, if it's a hot party and a twist, send it to the bank account. Tell the staff who's supposed to put it on, you just put the $4.50 on the account and eat the twist in the hot party, okay? Like we accepting all positive energy, all prayers, all support for J. Sarge, War Daddy, Sergeant. Come on, Bahamas. Even if we ain't having no Junkanoo, we gonna beat our drums for the one and only War Daddy. So here's the information. Here's how to get that money into his bank account. Name, When you go to the bank, give them the name J. Sargent. Bank is Scotia Bank. The location is East Bay Street, Scotia Bank. Branch number 50385. That's 50385. Account number 129. Account number 1929. See, we can row about Junkanoo all we want, but support the Junkanoos. Support the Junkanoos, because every time we need them, they just be there. And despite the turmoil that's taking place right now, we hope to see y'all where y'all is be. We hope to see you at the Fox Hill Rush. We hope to see y'all at whatever Emancipation Day events y'all had planned to rush at. They all be there. Junkanoo is bigger than just one. Junkanoo is even bigger than the greatest scrap group in the history of Junkanoo white people in the whole world. The Spirit. Except for the pigs and the Methuselahs. Y'all don't forget that. Anyway, let's get into the show. Let's carry this positive energy throughout our day, even if it's just for Sarge. Even if it's just for Sarge. Again, J. Sargent, Bank, Scotia Bank, location East Bay Street, branch number 50385, account number 1929. Okay. Now to my guests. Joining me in the show is the team behind the local award-winning documentary Dorian Category 6. Dorian Category 6 is a film about disaster mental health. It features survivors of Hurricane Dorian and mental health experts. Survivors tell their stories in a before, during, after narrative structure. These stories help us understand the short and long-term effects of natural disasters on the human spirit and psyche, and on the environment. Dorian Category 6 analyzes a variety of facts and statistics related to hurricane disasters, climate change, and environmental sustainability to explain the urgency of mental health issues after disasters. Good morning to my guests in studio.
Good morning.
All right, I'm going to need you all to introduce yourselves, but you have to speak directly into the face of the mic. Let's start to the left.
Okay, good morning. I'm Justin Williamson. I'm the editor on this project.
Oh, wow. To pick your brain, sir, is what we're going to do today. All right.
Hi, I'm Juliette Storr, and I am the producer, director, writer, and also the person who worked with the Bahamas Psychological Association, who will introduce herself in a moment, to actually get this project up and running. And I just wanted to say that the company's name is Dorian Category 6. The film's name and the project's name is D6, We Are Not Okay.
Okay.
I didn't want to say anything because I was like, I don't know. No. But all right.
D6, We Are Not Okay.
Yes.
That's the...
So it's a D6 project, and we are
right.
not okay.
But I appreciate why the placement of the name, because if I'm in the means when I hear it, but people new to the film, new to the Bahamas, may not know. And we say, look here, thank God you don't know.
Yes.
You know, like, count yourself as fortunate. That, like I say, I count myself as fortunate that right, that I experienced it incidentally, like right on the side. And just as we go in, I have to say though that I have a good friend in Abaco, the one and only Leanne Key, farmer, activist, island woman. I want to say pirate, but they call it Annie Oakley, Abaco, right? It's a real homesteader. And so I lived Dorian through her eyes and her experience, you know, and so I was really there, but fortunate not to be there, right? I was helping to courier to send goods to making sure goods for reconstruction, food for the workers, things were getting to the island, and so that's the way in which I was connected to it, and it was heavy for me. But just before I go on, I have to put this plug in. Abaco is back, people. The land has returned, right? Like it is arable again, and it is bountiful, and it is producing. I've been enjoying Abaco mangoes all summer. And then my Abaco people send me this thing, called stewed cocoa plums. And I took a trip back 60, 70, 80 years on the island because they treat cocoa plum the way we treat tamarind. Because they have plethora. I mean, but down in the drier, warmer islands, we got plethora of tamarind, right? So they make this cocoa plum. And so I'm thinking, like, not only did the land come back, right? But the memory, the tradition, the history is still there, right? And so these cocoa plums are for sale. They selling them, right? Like Abaco is like, hey, let us for ourselves revitalize this thing and let's share it with the rest of the family of islands. And so my Abaco people, I want to say thank you, but I also mad at you because it took you all so long to remind us about stew cocoa plum. And as an agricultural vendor, we don't do anything with cocoa plum but eat it. And now I realize that
You can do so much more.
not just jam, but we're gonna make, I sell in stewed and soaked cocoa plum. So I soak it in rum after they stew it, right? And then I sell it in little small portions so you don't sit on your porch and get drunk all night. But, I want to put that in there. And that's courtesy of my friend Leanne, right? They send the coke. They say, try this, man. This is what we doing in Abaco. The land is back, and the memory, the tradition lives on, right? And so for me, that's a part of my journey through Dorian, seeing the land come back and the fruitfulness, and then the people enjoying the bounty of their land. Okay, so now, madam.
Yes, a very pleasant good morning. I'm Wendy Fernanda, and I am the mental health expert for the D6. I'm the D6 project.
All right.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Good morning. But where do you work outside of the D6 project, ma'am?
So I'm president of Bahamas Psychological Association, and I'm in private practice. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. This is awesome. I'm sure you may have gotten a couple of referrals about me, and they're like, "Oh, she having a mental health challenge," and I'm like, "Oh no, I am having a challenge, and it's not my mental health that's challenging me either, But I also recognize, even if I'm correct, even if I'm right, I still have an obligation to others and myself to manage my emotional response to what it is I'm experiencing on the road. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the film, right? I did a little brief bio, but Ms. Storr, tell us why the film and how the film.
So why the film? The short version, I was in Pennsylvania at that time, still in my former employer, and I was actually in my living room watching the WhatsApp videos. Well, first the American television coverage of Hurricane Dorian. And if you've ever watched American coverage of any disaster, it's always very dramatic. I would say over dramatic. And because it's media, and the more sense, the more they're going to pay attention to it. So I was horrified. I was on sabbatical, and I was scheduled to come home on September 1st, 2019, literally the day the hurricane struck. Of course, I couldn't come home because I was doing at that time my research on gender-based violence. And so I came home, and instead of following through with that research, I literally just volunteered at the shelters, and I saw zombies. I saw people who were traumatized. And that spurred the idea in me to look at the mental health fallout of disasters, because many of them were completely lost. They were coming to the shelters for whatever kind of support they can get, food, clothing, whatever they needed. And I was handing out bags until one father fell on his knees as I was handling a bag of clothes. And he just started weeping. And he could not articulate it. The only thing he could say was, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me." And I was just dumbstruck. I'm like, this is what trauma looks like. And so that caused me to start doing research on disaster and especially hurricanes. And then 2 years later, through the support of that, at that time I was with Penn State University, They supported my research. I came back and I went to Abaco and Grand Bahama to do the pre-interviews for this project. And as you think about the land, so 2 years after Hurricane Dorian, it was still stark. The trees were still barren, and all you saw the sticks from the pine barren. And so that was shocking, because I'd been to Abaco prior to see the difference in the landscape was shocking.
Yeah.
But then more shocking was the trauma that the people were still experiencing. And so after that, I decided, well, I cannot handle this alone. I can do the production side, I can do the narrative side, but the expertise of mental health, I need to find a partner to actually partner with me, because they have the expertise. And so I did some research and found Bahamas Psychological Association, found Dr. Fernanda and Dr. Thompson, and we had a meeting, and from that meeting, this was birthed. So this came into existence after that. And then I decided I wanted an all-Bahamian team, because this is a Bahamian story. This is our story to tell the world about what happened to us, having gone through not just Dorian, but 6 months later, COVID-19. And that double impact, or double whammy, as a lot of people describe it as, you cannot imagine what people's lives have been like, having gone through a Category 5. We say Category 6, and so hence the name Category 6.
Listen, the people in Abaco say Category 6.
They do. They say it was a Category 6.
Yeah.
They said it was nothing they'd ever experienced before. They were through hurricanes.
In fact, some of the meteorologists have actually said that at the very beginning, international meteorologists have said that it was a Cat 6, because it was really more powerful than the Category 5.
All right, yeah. We know that the hurricanes that we experience in this Western Hemisphere they're not the same intensity as the typhoons experienced in the Eastern Hemisphere. However, I trust Abaconians and I trust Family Islanders, right? And in this particular instance, when they say, no, this is a Category 6, right? You know, and I say that as a Nassauvian, right, who's experienced hurricanes. I want to say this, I kind of special. I experienced hurricanes in New Providence, and I experienced a hurricane in England. During Hugo, when I was preparing to go to university, Hugo was approaching, and I say, well, thank God. I felt bad saying it, because I can leave you all here with the storm, and I go into England. Right, I didn't want to go to England. I didn't want to go to school. But I said, well, look, you can leave the storm here. That's a good thing. You know that storm split in two, and half the storm followed me to England. The half the storm followed me to England. I write the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I said, what y'all doing? Get control of the storm. Right, and so, but even with that experience, what those guys experience. Like I remember Floyd. I don't know how many Nassauvians remember Floyd. 3 days. That storm sat over the country for 3 days. I'm in Nassau. We didn't get the eye, but that storm, 3 days it sat. And so the first time I ever been inside for 3 days for a storm. And then the post-storm recovery, because of the extended winds, right? It was 9 days, I think, for water. And I think 7 days for power and 9 days for water. And it just changed my entire way of thinking, my entire way of living, what I was prepared to do, even the response to bathing outside. You know, like everything just changed. If y'all see me bathing, that's on y'all. If y'all want to drive by my yard right now, that's on y'all. Everything had just changed, you know, and so understand how this impacts people.
Yeah.
And then to say anybody making a documentary about the lived experiences of people, make sure that you have a psychologist, consultant, because you're treating people's lives. Exactly. And so what I wanted to ask next was, what was the most fulfilling part of working on the documentary, including you, Mr. Editor, because you see all the images, and then working with the rest of the production team, the weight is with you of identifying the moments and then putting them together, right? What is the most fulfilling part of making the documentary, and what was the most difficult part of making the film?
I think overall, just going back onto the topic of climate change as well as mental health, those two areas are passionate areas of mine. That's something that I promote through my various platforms. So when I was first presented the opportunity to become a part of this project, I was willing, I was like, this is my thing. Because even as Dr. Fernandez speaks, I remember, I think it was 2021, I had participated in the mental health UK Way competition and won, making a skit for, how we could best show, you need to go to a therapist. And then, over time, on my podcast, I've interviewed various therapists. And climate change is two things that is, near and dear to my heart. So going to just watching, because we was talking down in the lobby, cutting this film from, I believe, over 10 hours of footage down to 2. And sitting there initially and listening to these stories, because obviously we living in Nassau, we are experiencing this storm from afar, but we don't know what it feels like to be in it. And then, in my opinion, I feel like we forgot it actually even happened.
And Nassau people.
Yeah, and it's like,
because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Like our healing mechanism has been an individual and collective amnesia.
yes.
Right? That's across storms, across generations, across decades.
Yeah. So it was listening to the stories, it's like this happened and that happened. I've seen images, but they had a whole different experience. I was saying one of the actual interviewees, I had met them on a different island. They're from Grand Bahama.
Yeah.
And I'm from here, and I met them at a wedding in Eleuthera. And, seeing a lot of, because there was a lot of Grand Bahamians there celebrating the wedding, and just meeting these people and not understanding you sitting next to somebody that have went through these experiences, but they're not showing it in that festive moment, what's going on in those quiet moments where they really become their truest self. So just having those different perspectives and, being a part of this to bring more awareness to mental health and to the ongoing challenges, because, they didn't even have time to really heal because you had COVID-19 right after. So now you isolate. You can't even come out of that place,
And that's one element, right?
Yeah.
The idea that, for me, and this is why for me the Floyd story is so poignant, the recovery process,
Yes.
infrastructure-wise, state-wise, government-wise, the streets, the verges, the lines, the recovery process was more impactful, negatively impactful than the storm itself.
Yeah.
Right? It was more, that's what I found in my experience of storms. I mean, primarily because I haven't been in the eye of it, right? Of many storms. We were in the eye of Michelle, but that was a very mild storm. And even another thing, my mother was in charge of the country during Hurricane Michelle. She was the designated chief, right? And then so I'm at home, guarding the house. She guarding the country. CNN calls the landline, talking about they're looking for Lila Greene. And it's the stress is on me now. I gotta make sure they could get in contact. I don't want the prime minister to call me and say, how you couldn't figure out to get CNN in touch with your mommy? You know what I'm saying? That type of pressure, but that living in the recovery. So for the survivors and victims of storms, waddling and wading through an incoherent recovery process with a lack of clarity and a lack of certainty can be detrimental and impactful, right? So like you say, you sitting with these people, it's not just COVID-19 that they walked into after the storm. They walked into having to find housing for themselves, having to recover their lives all on their own. And even that is detrimental. But continue, editor, because...
Okay, so, Because even to your Floyd point, I remember returning home 2 months after Matthew had hit Nassau. And I was saying, this looked like a war zone because everything stripped down, everything broken out, and it's 2 months after the storm and people are still recovering. And to a certain extent, I remember during the pandemic, there's conversations saying that, people really haven't even recovered from that particular 5 year. Well, I think that's 2016.
Yeah.
So that's been 4 or 5 years
afterwards,
and it's like we're still trying to recover. We're still trying to recover from the world-altering events, whether it be on a financial tip from the 2009 recession where a lot of people lost their homes. So it's a compacting series of events over a long stretch of time that can really affect you, and then Hurricane Dorian can be the last straw.
Look at an accumulation of crises, right? An accumulation of crises. Okay, because I feel like the most fulfilling parts of the experience may also be the most difficult parts of the experience. Like when I was in my media frame last night, putting a question together, this is how I framed it. What was the most difficult part of making the film? Was it walking with the living, or was it sitting with the dead?
I think it was both. But the living, of course, because they are living, their stories resonated because you can see the pain. You can see the pain in their eyes. Mm-hmm. You can hear it in their voices. You can tell that they are still traumatized in so many different ways. And for me, it was really challenging to decide whose narrative gets in and whose narrative does not get in.
Does not make the cut.
And that was the most challenging part. So to get it down to 10 hours, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of back and forth, talking with various members of the team, the editor. When we got it down to about 10 hours, I was like, okay, it's still watchable. But how do we get it down? My ambition at that time was 90 minutes. And we got it down to 2.5 hours. And at 2.5 hours, it was even more challenging to decide. And so by the time I showed it to Dr. Fernanda, she loved what she saw, and I'll let her speak to that. But we still had to decide what kind of impact we want the audience to have when they see this film. Too much would traumatize.
Yeah.
Too little
would trivialize.
And so you have to, that's a balancing act.
Have you encountered, like I said, you encountered one of the people sort of featured in it?
And not knowing them from prior instances, when I see them in the film, I was like, oh, I met that person. Yeah.
Have you met anybody that said, hey, why you didn't put this part of my story in it?
They haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
So we are getting the premiere, we will announce on your show. The premiere for the film is on October 18th at Atlantis Paradise Island.
All right.
And so we are getting ready to begin the promotion for that. But we wanted, because we're still in post-production, we are wrapping up post-production. And so the film won the award prior to the completion of it. So yes.
Okay.
There was no music, and the audio sound engineering had not been completed. So
and it still won the award.
It won Best Documentary. So the narrative
in
an international film festival. So it is also up. It has been nominated for 3 other festivals in Europe. And so we are hopeful that it will continue to perform well. But we are also eager for the audience, the Bahamian audience, to actually watch the film and to act once they've seen the film, because it isn't just a premiere. It really is the launch of our educational campaign on mental health, and also need for all sectors of society, including the government, to come together so that we can begin the building that we need to build in terms of capacity building for long-term survival, long-term impact of hurricanes, because that's what the film addressed. The fact that we know climate change has changed our lives. will continue to change our lives through the hurricanes that actually we will have in this archipelago. And we may no longer be like some countries.
In the future? In the near future?
In the very near future.
I mean, there are layers of mental health issues, right? There is the immediate impact of living through a storm, right? There is the recovery period. Producer, let's prep this caller. There's a recovery period. And then there is this experience of living in a hurricane zone, AKA Hurricane Alley, but nobody talks about it.
Yes.
You live with the constant threat, right? But nowhere has it been entrenched in any of your national systems, right? You don't have standalone shelters. You don't have signs that say hurricane shelter, storm shelter. Even with the increase of tornadic activity, we don't have, the country isn't being inundated with new messaging preparing people for a shift in how they live on these islands, right? And that's another layer of mental health even consider. But listen, let me go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Hey, morning, Ms. Greene. Guess how you doing?
Morning. Thank you for your call.
I tell you, yes, I would patronize watching the movie, right? And also, right, if the Titanic could have pulled off 3.5 hours, almost 4 hours, right? I sure with Dorian, with all those storylines, they could have gone to at least 4 hours with it. Because there's too much information to condense within 90 minutes or even 2.5 hours of what took place in that storm. So I think she could have pulled off at least 3.5 hours. It's still being interesting and watchable.
Manliki, I'm glad you called back.
If the next pandemic happen, right, and they do a movie, if I could put a role in it, I'm willing to play any role.
Okay, I got you. You got a Bahamian here who say, whenever y'all making a pandemic documentary, I ready to be in it. Listen, thank you very much. And thank you for calling back. Listen, I love my callers. They always spark great ideas. So y'all going to do an extended version, right? Like a director's cut and include that footage in it.
And it is a docu-series. So the story is not, that's why we decided to do the 2 hours first, so that the other voices will be heard, because it's a docu-series. So there are several other parts, 1, 2, 3, and continuing, because the story really has no end on people's long-term life and survival after.
All right, we got a lot of texts here. It says, Ms. Greene, I'm suffering from acute political psychotic syndrome, not because I'm crazy, but because of the foolishness in the labyrinth of deceit. Can you log this one in the DSM? We are in this era, in the foolishness era at its finest. Is there a cure for my condition? Text, I like the tongue in cheek, but I know you're being serious. Because is it possible that all of us collectively should have the sort of designation of PTSD survivors, right? Or living with PTSD because we live in Hurricane Alley, right? And so again, thank you, Texter. They always spark great ideas. We have a conversation, you're on the road and you say, boy, why you look so stressed out? Because I live in a hurricane zone. Is that not given? Let's be kind to each other. We only go into a break though, so don't go nowhere. Stay tuned. Go call your friend in Abaco. Tell them send your jar them stew cocoa plums. We'll be right back. You're on the clock with Erin Greene.
At Cleveland Clinic, care is everything. So when your primary purpose is to care for the world, you'd start with your community until you're accessible anywhere. You make complexities your specialties and put compassion before anything else, all to redefine what's possible. For everyone, everywhere. For every care in the world. Cleveland Clinic.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Trafficking in persons or human trafficking is defined as recruiting, transporting, transferring, harboring, and persons by means of threat or force, abduction, fraud, deception, abuse of power, and giving or receiving of payments or benefits with the aim of exploiting them. It is a criminal offense in the Bahamas that falls under the Trafficking in Persons Prevention and Suppression Act 2008. A person convicted of trafficking in persons can receive sentences ranging from 3 years to life in prison and fines of up to $15,000. If you think someone is a victim of this crime, call police emergency at 919 or Crime Stoppers at 328-8477. This message is being brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
You try to rest, roll with for all your printing needs. There ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it. Just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Pop the top with collect, check your cap by 700, 200,000 in cash and prizes, with winners on different islands. Collect! Pop the top with collect, check your cap by 700. You could win free bears, take a sip and collect merchandise. Mother said, I pop mine and show Marie God, I pop mine and home comedy look with free bears. I go in and just check your cap. When you go Grand Bahama, collect! Pop the top with collect, check your cap at 700. You could win free bears, take a sip and collect merchandise. Mother says, drink responsibly, boy.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, talkradio.com, and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
I don't know if I'm so.
No, that's good. Listen, we back. Y'all can see how excited it is in the studio. This Mr. Justin Williamson been sitting in the studio all this time to wait till just now to tell me Sarge is his boy. Look here. Tell us this little story.
No, so like,
I mean, not a little story, because Sarge is a big man.
Yeah, so, we had officially met, I think during the pandemic time. He went viral already, and I was like, wait, because I make skits and cosplay and things like that, and I was like, I want you to play Jonas Jameson to like a Spider-Man character, and then that just blossomed to a whole like friendship. Like, we did an episode on my podcast a couple years ago, and then
Listen, Original People's Network?
yeah.
Are you inside my studio and this voice is so familiar? And I tell this young man to introduce himself to the people. Tell the Sarge story and then tell the people who you are, sir.
Okay, you want me tell them who I really am?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because I was trying to go under the disguise, but yeah, no, but Sarge, we just have a beautiful relationship. Me and him just spoke a few weeks ago. He always check on me for my birthdays. He'd be like, "Boy, today is your birthday, boy, loon bears and chicken, boy, you better
you have a hype man for your birthday." Yes.
So, always full of energy, and I really push everybody to support him getting better. We can't have it's too many of our legends going away without them getting their flowers. And I told them then, and I always tell them I'm like, bro, you made December 1 your holiday. December 1 can always be Sarge Day. Yeah. Just from that video going viral, I think that's 2018, and it was because people don't recognize that was a promo for a local beverage company. I won't say the name because I know what the sponsor's name, but that was for their event. But people just turned it into we just know when December 1 comes, it's Jungle time, man. You're the face, and every year videos go viral because I run the Junk New trademark as well.
Okay.
So that's like a whole form to promote like Junk New culture and things like that and different things on there. So, you know, yeah, and I remember talking to Sarge about my car needing a head. And I used to have one shop man, let me know if I could help. So he always been, you know, really good to me, and that's just always been his energy. Very good man. You know, coming across him during, I think I went to one Junk New practice, and he was telling me how he was gonna start his little Junk New group for the youth.
Yeah.
And getting them in. I forget what the name was, but basically I was supposed to help him, and I would always check in him and be like, "Let me know when you want to start doing this, so we can get it together." So. You know.
He's a guy. He helped Miriam Emanuel with her math. He helped her learn how to count. He said, 1,757,000,000,000,000 payments coming out to Junkanoo. Sarge, the whole country, and as I said, not just the whole country love you. When you see the video that Ashley produced at her school in Prince Edward Island, the white boy with the curly hair, he took that seriously. He say, I have to be Sarge and I can make it work.
For sure. And, you know, and that sort of speaks to what I was saying earlier with, you know, close proximity to people. Like, you know, you don't know what nobody going through. So I always say, treat people with kindness. Because one day it could be them, the next day it could be you. And it's like, life is stressful enough, and we have a lot going on for us to negatively impact people. So like what I was talking with Dr. Fernanda earlier, it's like, okay, when it comes to self-destructive behavior, it's not always the extremes where it comes to over self-harm or
like running red lights and stop sign.
Well, that's a part of it too. But well, you know, committing mass atrocities or, you know, self-deleting yourself. It could be you just being a bad coworker, or you just being, every time you just a negative person to be around, you making everybody else miserable.
Or you just eat your buzz. You know it upsets them. You know, not more than upsets them, you know it upsets their program.
Yes.
Right? But see, when I blow my horn the first time, that's to check if you having a medical emergency. I agree with you, and I'm being dead serious. When I on the road and I blow my horn the first time, because you veering off the side of the road, it's to check if you having a medical emergency. Now, when I come close to you and I realize that you almost kill us because you were in the phone, that's that time I blow my horn hard. The second time, but the first time, I'm always thinking you don't know what's going on with people. You don't know what they're going through.
Sure.
Let's go to the you superstar, Mr. Williamson. I'm so excited. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Greene. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir. How are you?
Listen to me. Sarge is a 1 in a million.
For sure.
Listen to me. I had chances to rush along with Sarge and Roots, but Sarge was responsible for bringing Junkanoo into Nassau Village. We had a parade in Nassau Village. We had a Nassau Village Day, and Sarge, along with Philip Carey, brought Junkanoo way over the hill into Nassau Village. And we ever was grateful for that. First time Junkanoo, I think that was the first and the last time Junkanoo ever been there.
Look here, Sarge was with the Roots when they made the CD?
No. Yeah, you know, some couple of CDs, you know.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
Sarge might have been one of them, the last one blowing the conch shell.
When Maria Govan, who's a filmmaker, she made the movie Rain with C.C. Pounder. When Maria Govan rushed with the Roots, she and I ended up in a rainforest in the bush in Suriname, in a maroon village. And they had a UNESCO radio station there. And she brought the Roots CD with her. And the two things happened that welcomed us, the Bahamas, into Suriname, right, in the bush people. She took the CD to the radio station, and we played that. And when we put that CD in, and she gave it to them, Maria Govan is a Greek Bahamian, right? When she gave it to them, and they play that, they look at us and they say, cousins? And we say, cousins. And they say, cousins, right? The second thing is they gave us some bush medicine to drink for anti-malaria. Now, they didn't have deadly malaria there, but it could still, they gave us this bush medicine to drink. And Maria took the pot and she horsebacked like a Bahamian. Ashley, she passed the test.
Yeah.
And they look at us and they look at her and they were like, what is happening? And I tell them, we have a thing in the Bahamas called Sirasi. And ain't nothing in the world. It tastes like Kool-Aid compared to the Sarah C we drink, right? And they were just stunned, and then they say cousins, and we say cousins. And so, Sarge, you've been everywhere. Sarge been representing the Bahamas across the world. Yeah.
For sure.
And so, and what it does to one's mental health and wellness to know that what you have poured into a space as large as a country, is acknowledged, is recognized, it's valued, right? And it's shared with the rest of the world. Sarge, we here with you. Even though I don't rush with the roots, I rush with the spirit, the greatest scrap group in the history of Junkanoo white people in the whole world, except for the pigs and the Methuselahs. Okay, so what's next for Dorian 6 Company?
So in terms of where we go from here, once we have launched the premiere and the educational campaign, the second to the project.
Okay.
So the first phase is completing the first in the series, in the docu-series, which is We Are Not Okay. And that is, as I said, scheduled for a premiere on October 18th at Atlanta's Paradise Island Theater.
Could you mention it? It's also in celebration of World Mental Health Day.
And it's also being released at the time of World Mental Health Day.
Absolutely.
So it's also in conjunction with the focus of the world on mental health. The second phase of this project has to do with the continual work that needs to be done on the ground.
Okay.
So, as in the business and media, once a film lands, it premieres, it has a run at the theater, you either see it on streaming or you forget about it. And in most cases, we forget about it in the Bahamas. So this is not just a film and a film series. It really is about helping us to get rid of the stigma around mental health so that we can be mentally and physically well
And strong.
as people.
Let's just stick a pin and go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How is everyone in the studio this morning?
We good. How you do?
All right. Sister Erin, I want to thank you for having these guests on there today. What the filmmakers are doing is wonderful. I personally identify with it because I was a Dorian survivor as well.
Is this Ruckus?
Yes, it is.
Whatever's happening, my boy?
I recognize that voice.
What's going on, y'all? So, Dorian survivor, filmmaker as well. So, it's something that's needed. I'm wishing everyone success with the film. Looking forward to seeing it myself. So, hopefully it opens people's minds to the necessity of it. Because, like I told Lord Jay on his show, on his podcast.
Yeah, you should tell the world your story, bro.
Well, I don't know if we have time for that. But one of the biggest regrets that I have from that time is not seeking professional help, because we know the stigma attached to that. But we are, 6-7 years out, and I'm still not here.
Not okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So and I'm still suffering. So if I'm still suffering,
exactly.
There are thousands of Bahamians that are, but they're not saying anything because they can't get the support or, quite frankly, the love they need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, Ruckus,
Hey.
I have to have y'all back on, man. We talk about the Original Peoples Network, and then we talk about some of the stories that y'all tell on your net about your story as well.
That's not a problem.
All right, awesome. I can't believe y'all put this sneak attack on me, the Original Peoples Network in the studio. Listen, guys, we are all out of time. I'm definitely gonna have to have D6 back on. To continue this conversation. Producer, let me run through these texts. Caller, I'm so sorry that we missed you. Let me run through these texts quickly. Have they thought about post-traumatic stress disorder and the mental impact this can have on views? Through the conversation, you've heard that was an integral part of the production process and the planning process and the product itself, right? And they're going to continue that. They have asked the questions that we were asking. Say, Grammy boy obviously don't have anything else to do but call talk shows every day, all day. Listen, Listen, let Grammy Boy's heart open up when it opens, you know? Like, that's a part of what the last caller was saying. When you have conversations like these, when you launch projects like these, you have to care for your audience, right? You have to create space for them, and you got to be easy with people, because I know people who weren't in the storm, but who went immediately post, and they are requiring mental health support. It says, good morning, what's the name of the documentary? How can I get in touch with the filmmakers? My brother is a Bahamian living in Australia and making documentaries on mental health based on the fires and climate change. Give us a contact number.
So contact number is 242-535-4728.
That's 242-535-4728. The movie is still in the production process, right? Because you're going to ask them where we could buy it, but we could see it October 18th, Atlantis Paradise Island. It premieres in alignment with Global International Mental Health Day and Mental Health Month. Texter says, I'm looking forward to the film. God bless you. The horrors were unbelievable. I volunteered at the center, and by the third day I had to pull back because I became emotionally overwhelmed. Can you imagine the trauma of those who lived through it? The stories were totally harrowing, and the look on people's faces when they came into the tents. Well, listen, I want to say thank you to everybody that shared. They shared their experience. For me, I've been privileged, and I'm still impacted by the storms, right? All of us. Let's create a space for all of us. And I just produced, right now, I have to mention this because, when the government is governing and pointed out. Here is an article that go to the Office of the Prime Minister's page, website. Historic ruling from the International Court of Justice strengthens the Bahamas' fight for climate justice. The International Court of Justice issued a landmark advisory opinion affirming what the Bahamas and other vulnerable nations have long argued. Major polluting countries have a legal obligation to reduce their emissions and provide support for the damage they have caused. In its ruling, the court recognized climate change as a quote, urgent and life-threatening crisis, close quote, driven by human activity. The declaration reinforces the legal responsibility of nations to protect the environment and the people on it. See, I all for that. Now, that decision isn't legally binding, right? But it is important. I already have a policy. If you don't support this initiative, then you could come to the Bahamas. You just can't go to the beach. You can stay in your hotel. That's it. That's what we could do. We can do something. At least for my mental health, we gotta do something. Anyway, Mr. Williamson, Ms. Fernanda, Mr. D6 Company, Dorian's Category 6, the documentary series. It's been a pleasure to have you in studio today.
We are not okay.
We are not okay, but we're gonna be all right. You guys stay tuned, because Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Muri is up next. Look at the original People's Network inside my studio. Where archery is, man. But you didn't bring archery with you. Anyway, you guys have a great day.
That's a whole other show.
FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio